Hey guys, it's Elaine. Welcome to this week's video. This is, of course, from And the Coming of Nighttime, Book 1, Nothing Like the Sun. And this is our main character, Dr. Josette Anthony. The best way to describe Josette would be she's a homegirl with a PhD, which means she's that great blend of street smarts, or what the old ladies back in the day when I was a girl used to refer to as mother wit, and book learning. So yeah, she's got a PhD and everything, so she knows how to walk in that world, but at the same time she also knows how to live. She could live on the streets if she had to and survive. And I love her because in many ways she represents the rest of the book in regards to the werewolves in the book. They too are creatures they have a foot in two different worlds. They are a supernatural creature, the werewolf, but they're also part human. So they straddle two worlds: the human, what we consider the civilized human world, as well as the wild nature, the wildness of nature. That's what the werewolf to some people represented. Yes, there are some old tales that werewolves represent the extension of greed. If you're obsessed with it used to be an old, I think, Roman saying that if you were too obsessive about something, you could turn into a werewolf and then spend the rest of your life running around graveyards and stuff, eating corpses and whatnot. I prefer the psychological breakdown of the werewolf representing the wild, that part of nature inside of us that isn't tamed. And the werewolf is the representation of those two beings clashing. The classic canon of the werewolf is a being that is at war with itself. If we think about the classic Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman thing of, I'm a cursed individual and I am doomed to walk the world under the moon's sway, and I am a danger to any and all, who get too close to me. Or the later incarnations of the werewolf, which is, they do what they need to do during the day to survive, but what they really want to do is the moon gets full and they want to run out and kill people. That's who they are. That's what they want to do. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do more along the lines of they're everyday people. They have thoughts and hopes and dreams and fears just like everybody else. They love their family. They tell their kids stories at night and tuck them into bed. They take care of their grandmas and grandpas. The only difference is that they're lycanthropes, and they have this thing about them that makes them the same but also different. And so much, in many ways, the werewolf, I think more so than vampires or zombies or anything, they're us and they're different. And I think what is one of the great horror aspects of the werewolf is because there is that blending of the wolf, the nature of the wolf, the wildness, and the intelligence of the human being. And there is the question of which one is it. Is it really this person is a victim of this change and this creature that resides in them? Is it a separate thing, or is it more the human in charge? If you ever saw Silver Bullet, I love that, where it turned out it was the Reverend who was the werewolf. Please don't scream spoilers. If you haven't seen Silver Bullet by now, what can I say? Yeah. The Reverend was the werewolf. And he basically used it as an excuse to do what he did. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it where this was just an aspect of their nature, was the approach I wanted to do. And part of that was because in the 70s, 80s, 90s, as part of the gay community, coming to grips with my own sexuality, because I am bisexual, though I'm not actively looking for anybody at this point. But there was a time when I was very much in the market. But being bisexual, being in the gay community, and knowing people who, something as part of you as your sexuality and what your preference is, that, and it's not like you walk around talking about how you want to have sex. It's being able to say, that's an attractive woman, but I really prefer a man. Or being a guy and say, being a woman and say, I prefer the woman to the guy, or whatever, or both. Because of the way society looks at you, having to keep that on the wraps, or having to be careful, even if you were open about it, you still had to be careful. If you weren't in an area that was largely gay, anytime you left that area and went into the larger part of society, wanting to be careful about how you acted, what you did, always, and that was something, and being a black woman on top of it, because I grew up at a time where if you were black and left the house, you didn't leave your house. I didn't care if you were going to school, going to church, or going to the movies, especially if you were going away from home to the movies or somewhere. Oh my goodness, my mom, hey, pay attention to what you do, how you do, what you say, how you say, who you say it to, because folks are looking at you. If I turned my mom and said, hey, those little white kids over there, she'd say, that's okay, that's them. They're not looking at them, they're looking at you. And when they look at you, they don't see you as an individual. They see every black person that they have ever and will ever run across on the planet. And so, and you're out there and you're carrying all this extra stuff. And werewolves are great because I could talk about that in a way that makes it safe. So everybody can enjoy it. But werewolves are great because they can be anybody. And yet they can be us and they can be other. And I've always been intrigued by that. And so working on this story, creating my canon for what my werewolves were and what they weren't. They're not, the moon does not hold sway over them. And silver bullets, silver kind of messes with their systems, but not to the degree of, they can get, if you shoot them with bullets will kill them. Shoot somebody in the head and you've shot somebody in the head. They're not coming back from that. You can maybe cut off an arm. They can regrow a finger or whatnot, but, cut their head off. It doesn't have to be a silver weapon. Cut their head off. They ain't coming back. That's not, that, that's cutting them where it doesn't grow back. But it was great. And at the point, but about Josette, really quick, at the point in which we meet Josette in the story, her husband, Dr. Stephen Durant, head of the company Biological, has, in a lab accident, as often happens in these type of sci-fi films, he's turned himself into a werewolf by mistake, because that's the only way you could be a werewolf and if you're born human. You have to, in other words, my big change in the canon for my werewolves is, if you get bit by a werewolf, it's because you're about to get eaten by a werewolf. They don't bite you to turn you. Getting bitten by a werewolf will not turn you into one. You have to be born a werewolf. But in Stephen's case, he got some werewolf DNA and started messing around with it and thought he had it done because, sometimes instead of thinking about what we should do, we get caught up in what we can do and found out that, he really couldn't do it as well as he could. However, Josette, working in a similar vein, produces the human werewolf hybrid child Petra, who is their daughter, who is also a human werewolf hybrid. And I'm not going to go too much into how she's produced because I really want you to read the book. And if I tell you too much about the story, then there's no need for you to read the book. So we're not going to go into that. And in the next video, I'll talk more about the process of this. But I will tell you that the way I started this was I drew certain of these elements by hand. And other elements like the cityscape I had already done for another piece that I then decided I wasn't going to keep, but I wanted to keep that little cityscape element. And I redrew the Josette element from another piece, as well as the wolf eyes from another piece. I redrew those and then pasted them together in Sketchbook Pro using the various layers. And what you see here is me getting the base colors down in Sketchbook Pro. And next week I'll talk more about the actual process of working on this piece, what it takes to put it together, as well as where it's going to go in the graphic novel. But from now, I think I'm just gonna, it's late, I'm tired, I've done this like 7 times, and it's not getting any easier. So I'm going to say thank you for taking the time to watch this video and listen to me ramble, and I hope you're getting something out of it. I will talk more about the process next week. If there are things you want to ask me about either And the Coming of Nighttime or Josette in specific, or the process of the work, leave a comment so that I'll know, and then when I do the next video, I'll be able to do that. And I will tell you that the videos are not going to come out every week. I am going to start releasing videos every other week, and that's because I have anywhere between 85 and 100 pages to produce. I have to get the book done. I then also have to make sure I've got it edited. I then have to turn it over to my beta readers. I've got to figure out who's going to be beta readers, turn it over to them, let them give me feedback, and then if I need to make changes, make those changes, have the book edited, and then decide whether to just do it myself on Amazon or to go through Comixology or some degree of both. I haven't quite decided yet, but I've got to get all of that done. Plus, I have 2 short comics that I'm updating that also need to be done. One specifically for the website, and the other I'm going to feature as a giveaway for WakandaCon. I'll be selling And the Coming of Nighttime Book 1 at WakandaCon next year. Not going this year. I need to take the rest of this year and the beginning of next year to get everything I need done, because along with this book, I've got maybe 7 or 8 different illustrations or paintings I also want to work on. I have a couple of short comics to work on, some of which I may offer for free, or maybe for like $1 or something like that at WakandaCon. Others are going to go on the website, and other short stories I'm getting done for another book that I'm putting together called Monstrous, which will be a collection of short comic book stories and illustrated short stories. But I'll talk about that at another time. For in the meantime, because this is getting long, in the meantime, thank you for taking the time to watch this. I hope you have a good whatever part of the day it is when you're watching this. Take care of each other. Again, if you like it, hit the thumb. Give me a thumbs up. If you love it, subscribe. They tell me hitting the bell doesn't really let people give you information the way it used to. So just subscribe, hopefully, and just keep an eye out. If you're on Facebook, follow me on Facebook, Elaine Haygood. Follow me on Twitter, LensCapper1. And, you know, or go to lenscaponline.com, and I'll leave links in the comment section for those. If you want to follow me outside of, you know, YouTube, so you know whenever I'm posting a video. Okay? Other than that, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and, you know, don't let the werewolves get chomping on you. Talk to you later. Bye.